G'day mate, 40 here, looking out at beautiful Sydney Harbour on the walk from Manly to Spit Bridge, and there's something I find amusing and disconcerting about many dissonant right ideologues is not their ignorance of religion and Christianity, but their lack of awareness of their ignorance of religion and Christianity, particularly among Nietzscheans like Richard Spencer, or I was just listening to this guy Sosa on Alex Kashuta's podcast, and said just because you were raised Christian, just because you went to church on a regular basis doesn't mean that you have any deep understanding of religion. And if you're not currently religious, if we're not going to discuss religion in terms of religious faith, then we have to discuss religion in naturalistic terms, that it is a subset of culture, and that it is a subset of culture that hundreds of millions of people have found adaptive. It's helped them deal with the exigencies of life, and it helps them to adapt to the complications and difficulties of life. But then you get these Nietzscheans like Richard Spencer and Mark Brahman, and then this guy Sosa, Shoniyoloshka, making these very confident assertions like the following. So here we go.
I just don't think that's accurate. I think that's been tried before too, particularly in the
Okay, so he has these critiques of Christianity here.
I sort of amplify the point that I'm making for dramatic effect. It's not necessarily that the points aren't genuine. They are genuine. These are the things I believe, but I do sort of dial it up. I had a very good discussion with Gio on exactly this topic in the matters of how religion is going to play a factor in the dissonant right. And I think it kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier, is that there's...
So the alt-right is overwhelmingly a secular movement, all right? Almost all important thinkers in the dissonant right are secular, all right? And even the one prominent exception, Andrew Fraser, right? For him, it's a political organizing principle. Now, I'm not sure he actually believes in anything supernatural or transcendent. So even if most people in the movement are religious, the movement is overwhelmingly a secular atheist movement.
So many different spheres, there's so many different little cliques and strains of thought that exist in this broader tent that I don't think it's good.
No, there aren't. It's overwhelmingly an atheist movement, and to the extent that religion is invoked by the leading thinkers in the movement, such as by Drew Fraser, it's in service of political, cultural goals. It's not because you get any sense that they actually believe in anything transcendent. So no, there aren't all these tents. Virtually every important thinker in the alt-right is an atheist.
For there to be a single idea that wins out. Because I think there's a lot of points that each clique brings forward that are worth analyzing and sort of internalizing across the board. My problem, particularly when it came to certain people who were very adamantly religious, particularly Christian, like I was raised Christian, like I've got no problem with Christianity in and of itself, but it's people that think that that's sort of a end-all be-all political solution. I just don't think that's...
Okay, so who thinks that that's an end-all and be-all political solution? Like, he's just summoning up a straw man. So when we have a rise of, say, religious nationalism, that's a response to an increasingly secular world where people have to be extra fervent and just swim desperately against the current just to stay in place, right? So the people who are Christian nationalists today, they wouldn't have been Christian nationalists 50 years ago. There'd be no such thing as Christian nationalism, right? We only get Christian nationalism because of the triumph of secularism.
And I think that's been tried before too, particularly in the 70s and the 80s with the religious right, the evangelicals in America, and their sort of attempts to make Christianity into this political force. I think not only is that not effective politically, but I also think that's a little disingenuous in terms of theology. Obviously.
Yeah, does he actually know anything about Christian theology? Right, he's coming from a naturalistic perspective, which is fine, something wrong with that. But he's treating Christian theology as though it's an essential, unchanging part of Christianity, when Christian theology changes with times and places. Right? It's an adaptive from a naturalistic perspective. Christian, Jewish, Islamic philosophy are adaptations to changing circumstances. It's not an eternal Platonic essence. So you'd think you'd have a little more sophistication here.
Christianity is so much bigger than just politics. It's a belief system. It's a matter of faith.
Right, and he thinks that he's the first person to realize this, that the people on the Christian right who are organizing, they didn't have the gift of his insight and his brilliance, that that people like Jerry Falwell just thought, Christianity was just, solely politics.
And that's going to obviously inform people's political views, but to use it as a tool for, cynical political gain, I think is both ineffective for politics, and I think it's disingenuous for theology. Now,
so it's disingenuous for theology if people try to create an environment that is more compatible with their thriving. Like every biological organism tries to create an environment that is most conducive to its thriving. Right? This is true for Christians, for Jews, for Muslims. Right? It's true for every group, every form of life does this, right? And this is like some cynical, grasping, exceptional thing that's just incompatible with Christianity, is just so incredibly naive. Why would Christians not want to create an environment, a country, a community, a state that is most conducive to their thriving? Birds do it, bees do it. Why would Christians not do this? And there's no, eternal, essential Christian theology. There's no, eternal, essential Platonic essence of Christian theology that would forbid this.